Lots of craziness over the past week. It officially feels like 2 months ago when the Celtics won the title. Too many things happened right after. Boston now feels like one of the least celebrated NBA champions. With the draft completed over a week, the Bronny James saga, all the talk distracting us from all the 29 other teams. Paul George signing with Philly, Klay Thompson with Dallas, LeBron extending with the Lakers like that wasn't gonna happen. Those are the obvious, convincing decisions. But every summer, a couple head-scratching signings will happen, making absolutely no sense. Let's start off with Bamba to the LA Clippers. How many chances will a typical draft bust get? Multiple chances, still deep on the bench. For one last time, can he finally save his career, extending for several more years after 6 highly disappointing seasons? One of those guys who hasn't improved since his rookie year, made zero impact in Philly despite with all Embiid's injuries. The 17 games he started, numbers of 5-5 with an 8-9 record. The inbreeding saga relationship between the Clippers and Sixers continues, perhaps dating back to Elton Brand, the now current member of the Los Angeles Sixers or Philadelphia Clippers. The fact that LA signed Bamba so early makes absolutely zero sense. Too many impactful players still likely go unsigned for weeks. A few Clipper fans optimistic. Now with the loss of Mason Plumlee, the 26-year-old can be the difference maker. Absolutely false hopes. For a center to be 7 feet, barely to put on weight all these years, the bad habits only building on, having a 7'10 wingspan, almost impossible to be a bad rebounder that size. Still has no motor, can't defend the paint like he used to, zero post game, his best offensive quality, hitting an open outside shot, and whenever he's doing that, the opposing team will live with that any day of the week. Still one of those lottery picks, more known for his song than actually getting drafted. From baiting Austin Rivers into a fight during his time in Orlando, that's the only one thing many fans remember from Bamba. The only logical reason to sign him, if the franchise building around soon-to-be 35-year-old James Harden, one of the few guys who can set him up for easy lobs other than Orlando. Mo played a combined 66 games between Philly and the Lakers, only 7 contests with purple and gold, being super below average NBA player. The only reason he might get over 20 minutes some nights against bad teams in regular season play, allowing less wear and tear for the main guys come playoff time. The best thing for the former 7 pick, if Ty Lue turns Bamba into a poor man's version of Nas Reed outside shooting, highly unlikely. Being that tall, having all the intangibles, his work ethic and hunger for the game needs to change this offseason. If Mo can't turn out to be a reliable lob threat for Harden, his NBA career then shall be over. Jonas Valanciunas signing with the Washington Wizards, only 3 years 30, feeling underpaid. The now 32-year-old came up averaging 12-9 in just 24 minutes, has his limitations. Meanwhile, Isaiah Hortenstein got 3 years 87, both similar skill set, but one's 26 years old. No surprise if Washington flips Jonas for more assets. Being one of the most realistic name for the Lakers would have been a huge addition, being a true center and a solid role player all his career. At this stage in time, Valanciunas choosing to be in a dysfunctional bottom tier franchise, only wasting away. The Pelicans now needing a starting center to replace him, their own problem. By next February, many would be confident betting Valanciunas will end up a Knick more so than a Wizard. Absolutely mind-boggling why he even want to commit to Washington in the first place. He's doing more favors for the franchise as a short-term rental, helping Alex Starr play the 4. Out of all the awful contracts in past years, Washington actually underpaid for Jonas's impact after the Otto Porters and Yamahimi contract disaster. Especially for a traditional big. Unless Jonas develops into a Brook Lopez, even with all the Lakers circus, Valanciunas rather stay on the low, get his 12-9 numbers for less than a mid-level exception. You know a franchise a hot mess whenever anybody chooses the Wizards over the Lakers. James Wiseman to the Indiana Pacers. Many forget he's still in the NBA, shown absolutely nothing. Still 23 years old, no direction or any promising signs of developing, too inexperienced to play in Golden State, just another regular guy in Detroit, only got 17 minutes a game for an all-time bad team, not even a top 5 option, a super early signing. The Pistons ended up wasting him for nothing. Many still question whether he's experienced enough to be a rotational player on a playoff team. The lack of growth after high school, from 3 games in college to no combine, or workouts, plus the pandemic left us all with nothing but speculations, raw potential and upside. Just like Mo Bamba, Wiseman has no hands, plays like he's 6'2 instead of 7'1, never in the right spots to grab rebounds. If he was to box out smaller guys like Josh Hart would win those battles on the glass 90% of the time. Already failing miserably to play with Steph, if Wiseman can't figure out to be effective and catch lob passes from Hallie or set good screens, there will likely be no more chances. Indy making the conference finals a huge step in the next direction. They simply passed the point of developing young guys. Wiseman likely a 10 minutes limited regular season player who will ride the bench all playoffs, replacing 10-pick Jaylen Smith. The 2020 draft class with Obi Toppin, Halliburton, and Nesmith. The COVID Pacers versus the Nova Knicks, a potential 2025 semis rematch. Kevin Porter Jr. to the LA Clippers, getting another chance sooner than most would expect. His age and ability to use his speed and get buckets can't be ignored for too long. One of the prime examples of a player's talents exceeding his behavior off the court. 4 seasons in the league, a 19-point-a-game score for empty stat Houston. Team culture improved after his dismissal alongside new coach Ime Udoka, from Steve Ballmer owning the team. Already adding Josh Primo and Kai Jones. Many guys having their own issues. Do the Clippers just sign relatively big name guys so they can all be kept away from the Lakers? Might as well combine the front office and HR staff, space all in the same room. From being known as a James Harden lookalike with the offensive style of play, now teammates. Will Porter Jr. have a change in attitude, limit distractions, and buy in with the rest of the team filled with vets and a quiet Kawhi Leonard? Hard to anticipate the franchise superstar having to tolerate the troublesome 24-year-old. Many Clippers fans already conflicted with the franchise's questionable decisions. The league office itself has major decisions to make in their hands. No further details about a potential suspension, enabling him to come back to the league this easily, reaching an agreement in January, in process of completing court-ordered program. His PR team did a good job preventing further damage, balled out in Greece. Even if all the off-court stuff gets cleared out, team retained James Harden on a 2-year deal, and KPJ plays best with the ball in his hands. The adjustment, playing alongside the beard, a difficult one. And when he doesn't get much playing time, how will his attitude respond? Is he gonna throw hands with Chris Dunn on the bench? Porter Jr. and Primo being teammates, as weird as the Clippers can possibly get. PJ Dozier with the Minnesota Timberwolves, he's not the Kyle Anderson replacement, since that's Joe Ingles, a borderline NBA player, just 34 combined games his last 2 seasons before playing full-time in Serbia, limited with Denver and Sacramento, previously got a 2-way deal a few years back, ultimately waived. He was drafted by Tim Connolly back in Denver, didn't make too much noise overseas, could easily be forgotten and cut at any moment. A super low energy player, not the personality to be surrounded by Wolves franchise superstar Anthony Edwards. Tobias Harris of the Detroit Pistons. After an absolute travesty of a disastrous playoffs, 0 points for the $180 million man, still somehow got 2 years 52, over $300 million in career earnings, and never even coming close to sniffing an all-star team, never had huge expectations to carry a team or even be good enough as a second option, gets little media attention unless it's choking in the postseason, just shows up, balls a little bit, collects multi-million-dollar checks, the ultimate NBA dream, his skills at most, just a solid NBA player, but the contract he's gotten, generational scam artist, just shows up and enjoys his private life, not a bad person at least. 5 years in Philly and 0 charges drawn, he's simply not going to be the vet leader to elevate the awful Pistons over the top. Don't expect any major improvements. Tobias doesn't have winning qualities, never even made the conference finals. What does he know about winning in the playoffs? Not a high enough volume shooter to space the floor. First it was Joe Harris of the Brooklyn Nets, choking, ended up in Detroit only to get cut and not signed again. At least this time, Tobias won't be making the playoffs with this team anytime soon. Having Tim Hardaway Jr. at the 2 and Harris the 4, absolutely hilarious weapons for Cade Cunningham. Casual fans don't even gotta be high to watch that lineup and get the most out of their giggles. Becoming the biggest meme team since the Josh Smith, Greg Monroe, Andre Drummond days. Jalen Smith of the Chicago Bulls, 3 years 27, super limited for Indy. And giving Patrick Williams 90 mil, team was better after he went down with injury. Absolutely no hope. The 24-year-old Smith considered Vucevic backup, not much of an improvement from Drummond. Rolled the bench for Indy come playoff time. Not that the Bulls even gonna make it with this current roster, building around Josh Giddey. Levine impossible to trade. Likely no more Lonzo Ball. The organization still living off their success from the Jordan days. Which one of these early signings shocked you most? Your thoughts on the comments below. More good stuff coming soon. See y'all next time.